Coming up on AI in the classroom, we are talking about infographics.
Hi, my name is Guy Training, a professor at UNL.
And I'm Williams, a grad student at UNL as well.
And today we're talking about using AI to make infographics. I love infographics. I think they help anybody that's getting new information understand what we're talking about with that combination of words and pictures and maybe graphs. So you came to me and said, hey, it's making great infographics. Can you show us an example?
Yeah, so you need to log into your ChatGPT account and enter few prompts. Yes, so the prompt should be very explicit so that ChatGPT will be able to give you the
All right.
great output.
So,
So
and that's something about prompting that is really important, right? When you're more specific, the result tends to be a lot better. And while we're going to do a lot of things that are kind of on first try, you want to sometimes prompt a few times and to remember that you always have to check the output because it often gives us great results. Sometimes it makes mistakes. Let's try.
yeah, so we are going to generate an image, generate an info graphics that teaches fourth graders
About
fourth graders forces and motion, or force and motion in science.
So when you think about this specific prompt, when you think about this specific prompt, it does a few things. It says, here is the grade level of the students, so the language can be adjusted, and often the art itself can be adjusted. The second thing is the specific topic. If you keep it too open-ended, you just don't know what you're going to get. It can be great, but not what you wanted. And then specific domain, in this case, from the perspective of science. So we are now waiting to see what it creates, and that may take time because the new ChatGPT engine creates great graphics, but it does take a little bit of time to make a new image. But you've got to be ready to spend a little bit of time and to try a few times, and then you can select what's important. The one thing that's important to know is any search and any production like that you've made will be saved, at least in ChatGPT, on the left-hand side where we have all of the prompts, unless you specifically ask for them not to be there. All of the prompts are going to show up, so you can go back to a previous prompt. You don't have to redo it because you forgot to save it somehow. It does get also saved. And again, you can ask for it to not save, but that's going to create other problems. So you have to be really selective about how you choose your options. And I love this effect where it gets revealed slowly. It keeps the tension going. And it's actually very much like they do their text production, right? They reveal it like you see the word scroll down. It's not necessarily how it's created, but it does create this tension. All right. So can you tell us what we've found here?
Yes, so this is an infographic that is explaining the concept that we gave ChatGPT, that's force and motion. So easily you can see that there's a schoolboy at the level of the students that we specified, grade 4. So it will explain how force is a push or a pull. So when the small boy hits the ball, it moves the ball across, and you see that even a small boy or a child will be able to understand what is going on.
And so one of the things about this infographic is that it is very clearly using images that are child-friendly, and that's one way to think about it. And the second thing that they're doing is they're putting concepts that need to be together right next to each other. So if you do have a curriculum that does all of this, that's great. You definitely can do demonstrations in class about all of these. What I love about this specific set of images is that it is things that kids can try on their own. One of the things I love about this, maybe, is that as a teacher, I'm always looking for graphics that show my point. But then I have to check if we have the rights to use the graphics. Because they might be copyrighted, they may have been created by somebody or by some company, and I'm trying not to break copyright laws. So I do a search with things that are allowable by copyright law, but then I'm left with very little and sometimes nothing that I can use. What this allows me to do is every time I'm missing an image, I can create it. And I know that nobody else has this image, right? This is a unique image and nobody can claim that it's theirs. Now, there are the ethical questions, right? Because OpenAI has scraped the full internet and all the images that are available, and out of that, it created a model that creates this. So there are some questions around copyright, but that's not for us to really resolve, because the courts have not resolved this. Can we try another one? Let's try another one, maybe for high school students, and let's try the character in Shakespeare's The Tempest. So let's create too much for me.
Yeah.
So many characters, more than anything else. The characters are confusing. All right, so we try to find the characters in The Tempest, and you can see how, again, this creates a series of figures and short explanations, and I love that. It looks like a card, and you can actually start thinking about how you can use this differently, right?
Yeah.
To go with almost anything you teach that you know, because we know, as teachers, we know, right? We know where in our curriculum our students get confused. And having something like this, right? You can print it big, put it in the classroom. You can put it in your Google Classroom or something like that for them to refer back to, or you can print it really small and have it on their desk. However you want to use it, it's a way to really overcome those difficult moments, right? All right, so if you think about infographics, what do you think are the great benefits and what do you think is the challenge?
Yes, so the benefits are huge. It creates a long-term images in the minds of the students, so that forever be with them instead of only text. If you present them with text alone, it will be difficult for them to remember all those things that you talk about. Images keep a long-term information in the minds of the students.
And what are the challenges?
Yes, so the challenges are a few of them.
So I can actually, this specific thing does have a challenge. That is, we have 5 people described, where we have 6 pictures. So you have to think about, okay, I've got one more than I need. Which one is the odd thing out? So it obviously tried to add something. I think it's the boy, it's second on the left. It's like, I don't know who that is, but I don't think they belong. So obviously there are moments. So the important lesson here and the challenge here is it creates great things and it does it in a few minutes, but you do have to watch out and you have to make sure that the information is good, because the information is often good, but not always. You've got to make sure, whether you're looking at forces, you've got to make sure that the physics is right. And the other thing is, when you're looking at information like this, in this case, Shakespeare's The Tempest, you got to make sure it actually matches what's in the text. And this is why we're the teachers. And our job is, yes, we can play with these tools and add to our teaching, but we got to make sure that it's accurate.
Yeah, I didn't notice that.
Yeah, you see? And that's part of what AI does, right? What AI does is it gives us something that looks great. And you've got to really look carefully and make sure that it's actually what you wanted, because in a casual glance, I did the same thing as you. In a casual glance, it looked great. I'm like, we're good. This looks fantastic. But then I'm like, wait a minute. It can be better. And I do have to do that. Now, you can actually now in ChatGPT mark an area and say, remove this. So you can actually mark this extra character and say, please remove this, and it recreates the same thing. So it doesn't recreate from scratch, it just recreates the same thing, but edits it. And that's a great advantage versus the old models where they would make it anew every time. So even if you had almost good, now it's creating everything from scratch, it might make another mistake. So that's one of the advantages. All right, today on AI in the classroom, we talked about
infographics.
And we had a lot of fun with them. We did have to be a little bit patient, and we did have to be very careful about looking for mistakes, but we also think that this is a great tool for teachers to try to negotiate those problems in the curriculum where students have a lot of misunderstanding, and we think a tool like that can help them. And we'll see you next time.